Have you noticed that the biggest personal brands in the world seem to be creating video content differently from everyone else now? And what's strange is what they're making is often fast to produce and it's growing their following whilst helping them earn more too. And the weirdest thing about this is, whilst everyone else is trying to use AI to make videos for them, they aren't. In fact, using AI would often make their results worse. So in this video, I'm going to show you why the biggest personal brands are doubling down on different styles of video content now. I'm going to reveal what they're making, how it's growing their businesses faster than ever, and the best ways to move this new YouTube model if you are a beginner or pro. All right, so to understand why this new direction works so now, we first need to look at how most people are making content and why it's potentially just not as effective now. All right, so the old model, it looks something like this. So we have been told that the best way to make content was to find a topic by looking at the views of ideas that are already performing well. And then you come up with your own take on that high performing content, and you make sure you add something new to it, and then you write the script and you film and edit it, and then you post, and you just keep repeating this cycle. And that has built some of the biggest channels of YouTube. In fact, it's built most of mine. But if you look at this process, almost all of the work happens before the camera even turns on. And it's very time intensive with research and planning and writing and preparation. So the actual filming is often the easiest and fastest part. But when I started looking at what the biggest personal brands were actually spending their time doing, I noticed something a bit weird. So let's take Dave Ramsey as an example. He's a finance creator and his content is incredibly simple. Basically, someone calls into his show with a financial problem. So they might be in debt badly, or they might be arguing with their fiance about money. But whatever the problem is, Dave just has a conversation with them and he helps them work through the problem in real time. And what's interesting is that millions of people watch these conversations. And then you've got people like Alex Hormozi. Hormozi is now going live a lot on his channel. He's also taking these kind of calls, but even when he's filming his recorded videos, he's doing it in a live situation where he coaches business owners through solving one of their problems, and he's getting millions of views doing it. And then we've got Simon Squibb. He goes up to people in the street and he asks them, "What's your dream?" Sorry about the impression. And then he documents helping them achieve it and gets insane views. And then we have people like Mel Robbins, who rather than standing in front of a camera yapping, is teaching confidence, relationships, and mindset by sitting down with real people and having live conversations about their struggles and experiences and transformations. And millions of people are watching those conversations unfold. And if we go to the big dog at the top of the pyramid, Tony Robbins, well, he makes videos where he helps someone solve a problem in a live situation too. And although each creator does this very differently, they're basically all just filming live situations where a real person arrives with a real problem. And what that means is, whilst most people are asking themselves, what content should I make following this old way? These people are asking themselves, what could I naturally do today that would create content? So Dave Ramsey, he doesn't come up with ideas, he just needs to find a caller. Hormozi, he just needs to find a business owner to coach. Simon Squibb, he just needs to find someone with a dream. So the reason YouTube changes is that the biggest personal brands are focusing on this now. They are having a conversation that starts with a problem and ends in a solution. And this is incredibly powerful for two reasons. The first is that it naturally creates things that information-based content struggles to make. Because when someone watches Dave Ramsey solve a real financial problem, or watches Hormozi coach a struggling business owner, or watches Tony Robbins coach Hormozi, they're not being told these people are experts. They're watching the expertise happen live. And that's what helps them build trust so much faster than regular videos, because anyone could research a topic and take an idea that they've heard elsewhere and then package them into a polished video. But it is so much harder to sit down with a real person, understand their problem in real time, and then help them reach a breakthrough. Which means this style of content doesn't just deliver information, it demonstrates undeniable proof of expertise. And that is why AI does not help these guys much, because AI can help you package information, but it can't demonstrate your expertise for you. But also the second reason is one that you are going to love. Because this doesn't just build more trust and proof with your viewers, it's often easier and faster to create this type of video too, because a lot of the time, all they're really doing is just answering questions live and in the moment. So the research, the planning, the scripting, it's all gone. And you've got to admit, the idea of just chatting and turning it into a video rather than spending hours doing that, it's pretty appealing, right? So much so that when I started seeing this, I thought I need to get in on it. So about 7 months ago, I started testing this type of content. And you can see on screen, there are 3 examples where I used this conversation problem solution model. And I created a situation to have a conversation in. And let me just show you behind the scenes of what these videos did for my business. So this video absolutely bombed for views, but it might have been one of the most impactful pieces of content I think I've ever produced. And I had people from my industry reaching out, telling me how much they love this video too. And if you read the comments below it, they are just on a totally different level to anything else. And perhaps even more importantly, this video with 10 times the views where I just reported news, generated almost no sales for my business versus this one with a fraction of the views that did. And then we have this video following the exact same structure. I was given a problem and I told this person how to solve it. And what was interesting is it attracted a different type of person. So the person I was coaching in this video was running a much larger business than most people. And what happened was people who were running much larger businesses as a result of seeing this got in touch and wanted to work with me too. Then this video, it's the same style where I showed someone how I got my editor from $0 to $20,000 in their first month on YouTube. And again, viewers weren't just hearing what I thought would work, they were watching the process play out in the real world and seeing the results themselves, which made the advice far more believable. And as a result, this one video generated $60,000, as you can see from my RevTrack data. Now, you might be thinking, that is great, Ed, but I do still need to grow a following. I can't just make stuff that gets less views and magically prints money. And that's totally fair. But here's where I think a lot of people are misunderstanding what's actually happening right now. So these creators, they aren't just making content to be discovered on YouTube. So let's go back to Dave Ramsey. I've never actually watched his YouTube channel before, but I have seen his content everywhere because they clip it up and they post it to X and LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. And the same thing happens with Hormozi and Bartlett and Tony Robbins. And clipping this content up is giving a massive reach all over the web with the same YouTube videos, meaning YouTube is almost a video host that gets views now, but it's feeding the rest of their marketing. And the thing that makes this new style of content so perfect for this is that every little conversation or every question they answer, it naturally creates multiple pieces of content that are easy to clip. So if a long form video contains 10 different live callers, that's potentially 10 different clips that can be shared online, which means that one conversation grows their audience faster. I think these formats are growing so quickly right now because they're so much easier to repurpose than the style of video I'm making right now. Now you might be thinking, well, Ed, if it's that good, why aren't you making that video right now? And I will address that at the end, but I do want to show you that there is one more layer to this genius that goes a bit deeper, and it will actually mean other people share your content for you. So what I noticed was this: coming up with ideas to post to your own social media, it takes a lot of time, right? It's hard, it's time consuming. But what I'm noticing is I go on Twitter and there's loads of financial experts and they have that problem. So what they're doing is they're taking Dave Ramsey's clips and they're cutting them up and they're using it in their own social media posts and then writing their take on it. What that means is they get a video that is very high quality content and can harness Dave Ramsey's face, and they can then get more traction just from sharing what he's saying. And you're going to see this happening all over the place. This live style of content is shareable and gets people talking, so other people love distributing it too. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, all right, Ed, so should I just stop making educational content and start creating situations that I just document instead? And the answer is no. Let me show you what I mean and how to get to a stage where you can use this and why I'm not using it all the time too. All right, so this represents the process of leveling up. On the left here, we have expertise and we have communication skills. And on the bottom, this is our timeline. And here you can see stage 1. So this is where almost everyone starts. And I started here too, because back when I first took YouTube seriously in 2021, I didn't have any clients or success or stories or anything that I could share that was that interesting. And I didn't have people lining up excited to ask me questions like these top personal brands do. And even if they had, I think answering them in this conversational format would have been the worst idea, as I wasn't good enough at explaining things off the cuff back then. I didn't have enough experience. I didn't really have true expertise. Basically, my experience communication skills were here. You see how low that line is, right? So what I did instead was I spent years creating educational content in this way, the traditional way, where you do the research and the planning and the writing. So what I would do is in stage 1, I would use this time to figure out the simplest way to explain complicated problems. And by doing this over and over again, expertise and communication skills slowly starts to rise. So the real purpose of stage 1 is you don't try and just grow an audience. You want to build your communication expertise and your communication skills right here. And that's what then allows you to enter stage 2. And stage 2, This is the hybrid stage where honestly, this is where I am right now, and it's why not every single video I'm making is me live coaching. So let me explain. So I continued to make the traditional style of content for a long time, but then I started to bring in these videos where I created situations where I could solve other people's problems in the kind of live format. What I wanted to establish whilst I was doing this was a few things. Firstly, will this style actually work for me and my business? To establish that, I tracked every sale, every email, every call that we booked from them using RevTrack, as well as the DMs and the emails and the comment sentiment below those videos. And doing this, I very quickly discovered that these were incredibly profitable. They gave me a huge amount of proof and people loved them. So that's what stage 2 for me is really about. It's taking the expertise and the communication skills that you built in stage 1 and then starting to demonstrate them instead of just explaining them, because you are now better at communication and you won't shoot yourself in the foot. And then as you can see, this line continues to go up as your communication skills and your expertise continue to level up until you eventually reach a point where your expertise starts becoming the content itself. And that is stage 3, all the examples I've just showed you. And this is where I think a lot of people get confused, because they see the creators like Dave Ramsey and Hormozy and Tony Robbins creating what looks like this totally unplanned content, and they assume unplanned, unscripted, that's why things work. And then they hear the insanely damaging advice online of just turn on the camera and start talking. But what you need to realize is trying to make stage 3 content only works when your communication and expertise are at this very high level needed to pull it off. And you only build that up by putting in the work in stage 1 and 2. And that is why Dave Ramsey doesn't need to write a script and is so good at problem solving off the cuff, because he spent 20 flipping years working out all his answers already, and then he just says them in different ways, which also means he can produce content that AI just simply cannot offer because it is based on so much of experience, not just repeating what else is online. But that's not all you do in stage 3. At this stage, your expertise needs to be seen all over the world, so you hire people to clip up your content and blast it all over the web. But the thing is, how do you master stage 1 and stage 2? Well, watch this video next, and I am going to show you exactly how.